Hey, welcome to Bush Kiddz. We're looking at another challenge today. Just out for a quick walk, and the challenge is whether we can find some bushcraft edibles, foraging. So we're just walking up the canal and we're going to see what we can find. So we've just come across this area here as we go up the canal, and there's a whole bunch of wild edibles here actually to talk to. First and foremost, the common stinging nettle. And you're kind of thinking, what can I do with a stinging nettle? Well, there's lots of things you can do with a stinging nettle, and if you get the stinging nettles as they just come up in small growth, you need some gloves for it, and you can take the leaves and you can use the leaves like spinach actually, and that's very nice. And you can also put the leaves into a soup, add some potato, garlic and some stock, blend it up, and it makes a really nice nettle and potato soup. And equally, if you took the leaves home, put them by the fire or heater for a few days to dry them out, and then use them as a tea, which is very nice too. What we've also got here is a very common, well-known, it's a blackberry bush actually, but we're just losing now the blackberries from this time of the year, but very recognizable in terms of the thorns on here. Each leaf has little thorns on the back as well, but I'm sure everybody's aware of the blackberry bush, and has had a few blackberries on a walk from time to time. Now this interesting thing is this big one here with the big leaves is horseradish, and you really need to have a stick or a spade to get to this edible, and it's very, very strong. But if you get the root up and grate the root, you can make horseradish sauce, or if you're brave enough you can eat it directly, but it is very hot and quite spicy. So here's another wild edible that you're probably aware of. It's the dandelion, and you usually see these in the summer with a big yellow flower. And most people think these are weeds, and I guess they are in common times. But all parts of this plant is edible. The leaves obviously need to be careful that they're not close to paths and where animals might do their bit on them, but the leaves can be eaten. The roots can be taken up and roasted or eaten. If you roast the roots and chop them up finely and ground them up, it makes a nice coffee actually. And dandelion comes from dent de lion, which is the lion's teeth, which looks like the leaf. Here's another wild edible, and this is a bush or a tree. You can see these little thorns on here, and these leaves, very distinctive kind of pattern to the leaves. This is hawthorn, and some trees will have berries on, red berries, some trees that don't, but when the leaves first come out in kind of springish, you can eat them straight off the tree. If I remember correctly, in older days they used to say it was like bread and cheese having hawthorn off the tree. So another wild edible. Yeah, ducks. A wild edible maybe for another time. So another hawthorn tree, this time with berries on it. Red berries. You can see the leaves are just turning as we're getting into autumn. But you can use the berries. If you get the berries, squish them up, boil them up, and then put them through a sieve or muslin cloth, then you can take the stuff that comes out of it and lay it flat as you can, and then dry it, and it becomes a hawthorn fruit leather. You can add some sugar or honey to it to make it a bit sweeter, but again, very nice. Okay, so this is a tree, and you'll see from the leaves here, they're quite big leaves, got a little bit of a tip on the end. Underneath they feel not really hairy but a bit rough, and you'll see from the tree itself it's like a bush, but the branches are fairly straight, and this is a hazel tree. So obviously on here, at certain times of the year we get hazelnuts or cob nuts, surrounded in a little leafy case, and if you get to them early enough before the squirrels and such like, that's a really tasty snack.
That ladder goes deep down, very deep down.
Well, don't fall in. Not quite sure this is wild, but just found some grapes hanging off somebody's garage here. Lovely. Here's another wild edible. It's a crabapple tree. Just turning now, actually. Probably the last time to get them this year, but they're a little bit bitter. But again, if you take some home, you can make jam and jelly and all sorts with them. So it's good when they're cooked up. Okay, another tree here. This is a rowan or a mountain ash tree. And again, we see these lovely orange berries on here. A little bit bitter, but take them home. Look up on the web how to make some jelly or jam. Goes well with meat, game meat particularly, I'm told. So there you go. When foraging, it's always worth getting a book, and this one is really well known. It's Food for Free by Richard Mabey. And obviously take the book out, have a look through it, see if you can identify things, try and look at 2 or 3 different identifiers if you can. Obviously, if not sure, leave it as it is. But if you are sure, then read the book, use the book and take it home. You can also get apps for your phone, which allows you to take a photo of the plant when you're out and give you some kind of identification. This can also help. And whilst they don't often tell you that they're edible or not, it will make a pretty positive identification for you to use alongside a book. These are pretty good, from the FSC or the Field Studies Council, and they're pretty good, pretty easy, pretty inexpensive, easy to look through, that is, and easy to use, inexpensive, and there's quite a lot of these. This one is foraging for top 25 edible plants. So thanks for tuning in for this next challenge. This is the 5 foraging foods challenge. So get out there, get a book, and try and find and identify those 5 foraging wild foods and get it posted. And we'll catch up with you soon. Cheers.